Hey guys, it's Chrissy.
And it's Lauren. And this is Ghoul Groove.
Woo! So before this episode starts, we just want to say that there are sensitive topics that will be mentioned.
Yeah, and so with that, our third Reddit story that we read is the one that has a little bit more of that kind of stuff in it. But we're excited to share our stories with you and just wanted to give you guys a heads up just in case. All right, hey guys, welcome back.
So thank you for tuning in again. And we got some good feedback on the last episode.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun recording, but now we're ready to get into like the actual topics and stuff that like we wanted to talk about.
Yes, so today we actually have some paranormal stories that we're going to be reading.
From Reddit. Yeah, we're really excited. We like each looked for a couple, like literally two. We each found two that we're going to read that actually neither of us have heard from each other. Like we just picked our own.
Yeah, so we're going to be surprised. We're reading each other's stories.
Bro, I'm really curious what you're going to think of mine.
I know, I feel like some of them might be silly, but we're here for...
Silly or like scary and like what the hell?
Yeah, like what was that? And we're going to be like talking about them too.
Yeah, so definitely talking about them because I have some questions about some of my things and like just like it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and not all of them are just like about ghosts. They could be about anything. Like paranormal can go from aliens to ghosts to
ghosts
dreams.
to just dreams to like anything. So just kind of any like spooky experience anyone's had on Reddit, that's kind of what we're doing today. Yes. But other than that, we're going to also look at our Spotify Wrapped from 2024.
Yeah, I feel like we had such a different like genre of
music
taste that year.
For sure. Like, and so we just think that that's a good way for you guys to really get to know like our music tastes and stuff, because that's like our year in recap of music.
And you should comment your Spotify Wrapped too.
Oh,
like,
please,
who were your artists that you
put your like
to?
top artist in the comments, because we also have been reading comments. So
yeah, we read them.
We've been reading them, so keep them coming. Oh, and remember, if you like our show, rate it also.
Yes.
I think we actually have a 5-star rating right now.
Do we really?
I think we do at the moment.
They like bring it down to 1 star.
Hey, you know what? Hey, you know what? I got nothing to say, honestly. Honestly, you know what?
But we became professionals. Like we have our papers out.
Oh yeah, we printed our Reddit things on paper. We have an actual mic that we're recording on. Yeah. So like you should be proud of us.
Yeah, we're professionals, guys.
But yeah, I guess let's go ahead and let's just jump right on in.
We're gonna start with Lauren's story.
Yes, I'm gonna read one.
Yeah.
So my first Reddit story that I pulled up, it's kind of like a dream situation. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it. It's the username was Cosmic Farce, I guess, but it's from 7 years ago, so kind of interesting. But I'm gonna read it. It says, a girl I knew for a few years and I was very good friends with passed away in a car accident. A few days later, I have a dream that she's standing in the center of the road and I'm barreling towards her. I run into her, but then she appears in the seat beside me. She forces my head down towards her abdomen. Where her stomach would be, there's a large mouth. The teeth are made of broken glass and sharp metal, and she keeps saying shh, shh. And then she basically says, I wake up from the dream and I'm still hearing shh. I look at the foot of my bed and she's standing in my room. She walks through my door into the hallway. I follow her. She walks down the hallway and vanishes through the front door of the house. I didn't realize it at the time, but my dad was on the couch and he asked me if I was okay and asked if the flickering lights were what woke me up. He didn't see her and I never noticed the flickering lights.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Cookie.
He's like, that's why.
My cat's meowing right now. Okay, wait, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, because I just thought it was an interesting story.
Yeah, the part that like stood out to me was like there's a head toward her abdomen.
No, I know.
Like, a face.
Bro, I was like,
wait, no. It says where her stomach would be, there's a large mouth. Yeah, that part.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no, that's like a monster. Straight up. That's not just like.
So I'm wondering if she was just thinking, before she went to bed, like she was just thinking of her friend and that's why she had that dream.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because I'm like, it had to, well, and it's also like she says I wake up from the dream, but was she really awake from the dream?
Yeah. And her dad saw the flickering lights.
I'm so sorry, my cat is like on the mic. Cookie,
he has an opinion.
He does. He's got lots to say.
Yeah, so basically just that her dad could see the flickering lights.
So my opinion is that basically like, so she obviously is having a dream. But what I think is going on is that when it says, like, she woke up and then she started following I think that she was like sleepwalking.
Yeah, she could have been.
Because she goes, and then like she basically says, I didn't realize, but my dad was on the couch. So like she didn't even realize walking out there. I'm like, she probably was like sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Like a night terror sleepwalk situation.
There are like visitations in dreams, so it could have been her friend visiting her.
Yeah, honestly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that it was like a ghost or a something of... Because now the one with the stomach part, that could be like one of those like nightmare terror things. But then the thing about the room and following and actually physically walking.
And the lights.
But she didn't realize the lights, which makes me think that she was so like in like a dream zone state that when her dad was like, wait, what are you doing? That was what.
Yeah. And like, I feel like the paranormal could definitely move electricity like that, especially if they were using all of their energy to be in her dreams.
Yeah.
They could have been doing that with the lights.
Exactly. No, I think so too. Because, and it was, what's weird too, just to me, like an interesting thought is that like her dad wasn't phased. He was like, oh, is it the flickering lights? Bro, I'd be like, dad. Yeah. No, I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine, I guess. But yeah, that was my little story that I read so far.
I really like that one. That was a good one. Yeah, I'm going to do Was I Abducted?
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready to read this.
So this is from the Reddit page of Alien Abduction, and it's by Kurt Buffalo. And the title is Was I Abducted? Any Similar Experiences? This happened to me sometime between 1994 and 1999. I can't really remember how old I was, but other details place this event in that time frame. I would sleep on the top bunk in a room shared with my little brother. Our bedroom door was not a traditional door, but rather a folding accordion door that is held closed with magnets. Usually my parents would leave the door cracked open about 1 foot for whatever reason. This meant that I could hear what was happening in the rest of the house, but I could not see out due to the bed arrangement. One night, for whatever reason, I had a very uneasy feeling lying in bed, even right when I laid down and my parents were still awake in the living room. I struggled to fall asleep over and over. During one of these on and off tossing and turnings, I felt like I could sense something in the living room. The lights were off, meaning my parents were in bed. I became very scared and just laid there, waiting to see if I could hear something moving or something that would explain my fear. At that point, a very bright light moved into the room through the crack in the door, and I was paralyzed. It was very, very bright, but it did not hurt to look directly at, unlike a flashlight, for example. It was just bright enough to not make out any shape other than it was about 5 feet tall, and moved like a person would entering the room. My eyes were unable to close, so I just kept staring. Quickly, it came over to me and spoke outwardly. It sounded like someone blowing bubbles underwater. But in my head, I heard a clear female voice say, "Please do not be afraid." This was repeated 2 or 3 times. It was almost like I could hear bubbling sound as a language, but it was translated into my thoughts. In a matter of seconds, a bright light and electrical feeling overcame my body. It was like a painless energy went completely through me and stiffened all of my limbs. Then I woke up in the quiet room and everything was fine. Everything except at this point I was laying flat on top of my blankets. I never slept without a blanket over me, and I still don't, despite warm weather. The bed was completely made as if no one had slept in it. I ran to tell my parents. Of course, they told me it was a bad dream and made me go back to sleep, which I eventually did. I asked my brother the next day, and he heard nothing suspicious. I remember going to sleep the next day, being very scared again, but nothing else came. As I got older, I suspected sleep paralysis, but I could not explain being on top of the blankets after the experience. This still makes me wonder. I do not tell people about this, and I am wondering if anyone else had any similar experiences, especially with the bubbling sound of the voice. I can still hear it in my mind. Was I abducted?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
No, because I'm like, it's about like the thing about being on top of the covers.
That's the part that got me.
Because you can't explain it. Like, you're like, what? Yeah. Especially when you're like such and you know how you sleep.
Yeah, even me, if I woke up on top of my covers,
I'd be like, what in the world?
I'd be like, that's weird.
Yeah, no. Like half of the time, like my thing, I'm like a sleeper where like I will yank the covers like one direction. So like I'll have half of the bed, like half of my bedding is like on the floor. So like if I was on top of it and my bed was perfectly made, something is wrong.
Weird. Especially like no one sleeps with their bed made.
No.
That's weird.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and then the part where they said that they can't remember how old they were. That just makes me believe it more, because if they were making up a story, they would just make up like, oh, I was like 7 when this happened. Or
yeah, it says like sometime between, exactly, like you're like but that also makes you wonder like is it like something that was like a dream and they think it was real?
It could have been.
Because that's another thing. She's like, I think it was between this time, and it's like, maybe it's because she like, it could be another thing. You got like abducted by aliens and they like make you forget or something.
And the like, blowing bubbles underwater, I put it could be a dream for that because like I feel like in your dreams the voices, they don't sound clear. Yeah. So it could have been like
that it was like
making
a
bubbly noise. Yeah. But also the translating into like
a different like obviously like language. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that those are my thoughts on it.
I just think there are so many crazy things that's like that cannot be explained, and when that stuff happens, that's when I'm like, all right, sometimes I'm freaked the fuck out. Like I'm like, what's going on? But yeah, that's interesting.
Usually, like one time I watched this like government video when I was really into alien conspiracies, and there was like this military guy talking in a government meeting, and it was like real. Someone was secretly recording it, and he was like, right now the government currently is working with these creatures called the tall whites. And that I saw that video in like 2015. I can't find it anymore. It's not even on the internet anymore. But like,
that's so cool and weird.
Yeah, whenever this said 5 feet tall, I was like, no, they're the tall whites.
They're like, the tall whites. Like, I know what they are.
But I don't know. There's so many different theories about aliens, and it's so interesting.
I liked that one.
Do you guys think it's a dream?
Yeah, what do you guys think? You feel free. Also, that like this is a great episode to like put stuff in the comments.
Voice your opinions.
We would love to hear. Okay.
Oh yeah, the next one of the comments says, "Don't be afraid, we are here."
Don't be afraid, we're here. Funny. I love that. No. Okay, so I'm gonna do my second one. So this one gets a little actually kind of creepy. This is like kind of like given a little bit like horror movie type stuff. So I went a little scary on this one.
I'm ready.
Okay. It's under the Reddit page for ghost stories, and it's by Death Echoes 1227. The title is, "My son said a name we haven't heard in 7 years, and then said it was his, quote, imaginary friend."
That's crazy.
Okay. It says, "So when I, 25, was around 3 to 4 years old, I had this imaginary friend named Peter. Petey was what I called him. We always played, and after I was about 10, my mother explained to me that my brother, who's 29, 14 at the time of her telling me, used to talk to Petey and his brother John, as well as their father Jack. According to my mother, since I cannot fully recall all the memories, nor can my brother, Jack was a mean guy that told us to do very bad things, like bad things." You can kind of fill in the blank there. But it says, "My mom told my brother not to talk to him and to only talk to the good ones. Turns out John and Petey were trying to protect us from what their dad did, resulting in their death. It was later found out, around 2016, we were 16 and 20 at this point, that the house that we lived in our entire childhood was in fact the house where a serious murder took place. The father, Jackson, had SA'd his sons, Peter, who was 6, and Jonathan, who was 13, and killed them both, and then he did to himself. After piecing this all together, it makes sense that the kids were warning us about this being an influence and trying to protect us. Fast forward to now, my son has been having some severe behavioral issues lately, and when asked, he always said that his friend Jack told him to do the bad stuff, and that his friend Petey plays with him when we are busy. We asked him who is Jack and Petey, and his entire face shifted, making a pucker O face, looking up so far it looks like his eyes were rolled into the back of his head. It covered his ears, saying very loudly, 'God said I can't talk to you.' When we asked who God said he couldn't talk to, he blankly walked away as if nothing had happened and didn't say a word. My son makes weird faces all the time due to this stemming from his autism, but nothing like this. I'm not sure what he meant, as he wouldn't tell us who God said not to talk to, and just walked away extremely quiet and blank-faced. As weird as this sounds, I don't think it's a type of possession, but I need advice. Has anyone ever experienced something like this?"
Wow. Yeah, there's so much to unpack here.
Yeah, let's talk about the beginning, because we've read this story a few times because I kept screwing it up. So we know the story now. But yeah, so basically she's talking about her kid at the very beginning, but then she just goes into like her childhood. So basically like there wasn't like she had an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Like I guess her and her brother like knew of this.
Yeah, so are the imaginary friends, are they the kids that used to live there? Is that what they're saying?
Yes, that's what they're saying. Okay. And so it's John the no, not John. Jackson, the dad,
father,
was the one that killed the two of them.
The terrible man, yeah.
Yeah, it was the one that killed the two of them.
Yeah. I've never once had an imaginary friend. So I
always think it's interesting when people have imaginary friends, too.
And it's always people that, like, don't even believe in ghosts that much.
Yeah, well, it's because,
I'm like, that's wild.
Yeah, no, for real. I think imaginary friends are such an interesting thing because not everybody has them, but some really do.
Yeah, I'm always like, they have to be ghosts. Because, like, how can you have an imaginary friend? Like, how can you just talk to the air? Like, I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, there's this side of it very much like that. There's also just, like, when you're a kid, this is the same reason that they say, like, kids are so susceptible to, like, ghost and just, like, all, like, paranormal stuff is because they're so imaginative.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing is, like, imaginary friends to me make sense for, like, kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that, just, like, their creativity going wild, but something like this is crazy.
Mm-hmm. And she said that her brother was 14 at the time, and being 14 and having an imaginary friend, that's, like...
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Well, it says, no. It says she was 3 after, no. I guess, well, it's saying that she was 14 when she got told. She was 3 to 4. I wonder, I guess it didn't really say about their age gap.
Okay.
Because I was going to say, I wonder how old he was, because maybe he was younger.
Yeah, he could have been.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I'm assuming he was probably younger or, like, closer to her age because it says she was 3 to 4 years old. Mm-hmm. He could have been, like, 6 or 7. Like, he could be older, too.
And how they said that John and Petey were trying to, like, protect them and everything, and they didn't even know about the murders that took place there.
Yeah, no. They didn't even know anything.
That's the wild part to me.
Yeah.
They didn't know about it, and then they figured out, and they're like, oh, so that's what they
So
were
they were,
protecting
in
us
that
from.
sense, that was definitely a ghost thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, how do you... And it's like, how do you come up with a name? Like, the exact names. And how do you come up with 2 names? Not 1, 2.
And
then the son says both of them.
And it's the exact kids that were murdered there.
Yeah.
That's, wow.
I can't imagine if my son genuinely, like, no matter what, like, if my kid sat there, rolled their eyes to the back of their head, and started saying something like that. Bro, I'd be like,
okay.
I'd be like, we're calling a priest now. Something, because I'd be like, that's not normal. And it's like what he said. He was like, God said I can't talk to you. Which I was reading in, like, a couple of, like, the responses, and people were like saying something like, I don't know, they were trying to figure out, they were like, maybe, like, I can't remember if they said it was really that, like, I can't remember how they said exactly what was going on, but that one of them was trying to protect them from something else. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There was a whole thing about it, but I was really intrigued, like, reading all the different, like, ideas of what they said. And I also think it's funny because she's like, I just don't think it's any kind of possession. I'm like, well, then what is it? Because, like, how would he know? If my kid started naming out my imaginary friends, bro, without me ever mentioning it,
I'm like, okay.
All right. Something's wrong right now.
And sometimes, like, demonic spirits or just evil spirits,
play with
they say that they're God.
They say that they're God, exactly. And that's why I'm thinking that's kind of what this is like, it was very much like a...
Yeah, I don't know if he's saying that, like, John and Petey are saying that. Is that the names? John and Petey?
John and Petey were the friend.
I don't know if they're saying that or if Jackson is saying that.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because it's like, but I definitely think somebody's claiming to be
one of them,
God, and saying, like, I can't talk to you, like, kind of thing.
I would,
because that's technically literally finding a way to use the Lord's name in vain. Like, that's like a way really that is literally, that's saying, like, well, that's why I can't talk to you. And it's like, no, you're making shit up.
Yeah, and then they're making the kid believe that too, because he's a kid.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what's even crazier is she was like, yeah, he just walked away after that. I'm like, oh, no big deal.
And the eyes rolled back.
Like, that is my thing. Like, I love kids. I teach kids. But, bro, when they do some scary things,
Yeah. And she even pointed out that her son makes weird faces due to his autism, but she said nothing like this.
But nothing like this. Yeah, well, that's the thing is I feel like it's like, you know what's normal because you know how people, like, especially, like, this is her own kid. Like, this is not some random, like, kid that she was, like, at a park and, like, noticed some really creepy kid or anything. Like, this is her own kid. Yeah. She knows that kid inside and out. And if that happened, that would not be normal, obviously. Mm-mm. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting one because she was like, we haven't, like, yeah, I guess she said she never spoke about it for like 7 years.
That's, yeah, something attached to her.
Isn't the net the name of that song from the It movie?
Sad was,
no,
oh, you're saying once sad
no,
was
that's
sick.
every